China and the US have agreed to resume military communication to help ease rising tensions between the two superpowers. Presidents Xi Jinping and Joe Biden made that decision during a landmark summit in California, the first time they'd spoken face-to-face in more than a year. The Chinese leader says that he hopes the nations could be partners that respect each other and coexist peacefully. CNA's Minmin with a report.
The Chinese readout of the meeting said the two leaders had frank and candid discussions over a range of issues, but front and center is Taiwan. President Xi saying that is the most important and the most sensitive issue in China-US relations. President Xi said that the US needs to take real actions to honor its commitment not to support Taiwan independence, not to sell arms to Taiwan, and to support China in its peaceful reunification with Taiwan, adding that China will reunify with Taiwan and that is unstoppable. President Biden, however, said that the extent of their conversation on Taiwan stopped at the US affirming it will stick to the One China principle. The U.S. State Department reiterated that it opposes unilateral changes to the status quo on Taiwan. It expects cross-strait differences to be resolved by peaceful means, calling for restraint in military activity in the Taiwan Strait. In the 4-hour meeting, President Xi also raised the issue of U.S. trade restrictions on China, saying those sanctions, export controls and investment restrictions have seriously harmed China's legitimate interests. He called on the U.S. to lift these unilateral sanctions and create a fair and non-discriminatory environment for Chinese companies.
I don't think anyone has any illusions that this is going to be a earth-shattering kind of moment, but I think it's really to have these two leaders meeting each other face-to-face, get a sense of where their priorities are presently.
The Chinese readout, however, also acknowledged efforts from both sides to stabilize relations. The two sides agreed to restart military communications, cooperate on counter-narcotics effort, and continue discussions on the safe application of artificial intelligence. They also agreed to increase passenger flights next year, as well as increase cultural, sports, and education exchanges. President Xi was keen to stress that both countries should work together to address global challenges and avoid the zero-sum mentality.
这个地球容得下中美两国，我们各自的成功是彼此的机遇。中美两国历史文化、社会制度发展道路不同，这是客观现实。 但是，只要双方坚持相互尊重、和平共处、合作共赢，完全可以超越分歧，找到两个大国正确相处之道。我坚信呢，中美关系的前途是光明的。
But when President Biden made an ad hoc comment at the end of his press conference,
well, look, he is. I mean, he's a dictator in the sense that he is a guy who runs a country that is a communist country that is based on a form of government totally different than ours.
The Chinese Foreign Ministry moved swiftly to condemn it.
这种说法极其错误，是不负责任的政治操弄，中方坚决反对。 需要指出的是，总有一些别有用心的人企图挑拨、破坏中美关系，这也不会得逞。
When asked about whether this will put a sour note on the generally positive talks between the two leaders, one analyst said,
Well, I suppose if it's not covered by Chinese news, it really doesn't matter because I would say, comments like that by Biden, if it's for an American public, so be it.
President Xi attended a dinner with American business executives after his meeting with President Biden, during which he announced that China will optimize the visa application process for foreigners. It's a move that will be welcomed by investors spooked by the rising geopolitical risk of doing business in China. But some say it will take more to improve investor confidence in the country.
It's not just about political statements, it's about actions on the ground. Things like the national security law, how is it going to apply to businesses? I think those are questions American businesses, and I think not just American businesses, but businesses everywhere will be asking, even as they recognize that China is too valuable a market to ignore.
Minmin, CNA, Shanghai.